Welcome back to Random City Sports Ballers. Well, we're on to a new topic. Now that you've learned the rules of your league, you've decided on, well, you might not have decided on a team name yet. You don't know what the team looks like. It could be anything. Still could be anything that you feel like naming it. But you know the rules of your league. So you understand what positions you should be looking for. How many of each position? Maybe do I need middle infielders, or do I just need first base, second base, third base, shortstop? Sometimes they offer different rules for different leagues. So make sure once you know the rules of your league, you're ready to go, because we're going to start getting into the meat of things now. So what is fantasy football? Fantasy football is it's a pretend game based on a real game. And what we do is we take players from the real game, and each week they have their statistics, and we use their statistics to get ourselves points in our league. For example, if you've got a player in fantasy baseball, hits a home run, well, you would get points for the home run. You would get a point for the run batted in, because that counts as part of a home run. You would get points for the run scored. In many cases, you'll get points for the hit or the increase in batting average. There's other ways you can get points offensively. You could get stolen bases. I've been in leagues where stolen base percentage is a factor, but we're ready to get into the meat of who we want on our team. What do I want that team to look like? And now I draft based on my own experience. And what I'm looking for out of my players, one, I'm never counting on stolen bases. They are so inconsistent, it's very hard outside of a couple of different players to try to get the market on stolen bases. Home runs, people are much more consistent with their home run production. A guy who hit 40 home runs last year, most likely going to hit more than 30 this year, could get over 40 yet again. They have their production value, and all players over the course of the season are basically going to get very similar numbers to what they did the previous year. Sometimes they'll have a regression year. Rookie players tend to hit a wall at the end of the season. Aging veterans tend to get injured during the season. So you got to think about, what players do I want on my team? Who is going to make my team the best? So what I look for early home run production, because home runs will translate also into RBIs, and if I get a guy with good batting average, it's going to turn into runs as well. So what you want for your team is what you want for your team. But what I want, I'm looking for home runs out of my batters. I'm looking for RBIs out of my batters. I ignore stolen bases. If a player gets stolen bases, to me, wow, that's a great bonus. And then on the pitching side, one of the most consistent things that a pitcher will do is strikeouts. If they get 200 strikeouts this year, they're getting 200 strikeouts next year. They're getting 200 strikeouts over and over and over. These guys who get the strikeouts are very consistent. So I'm looking at strikeout guys as one factor. I also want guys who are going to get wins, which means I need them to be on a team that will get wins. ERA, and which is earned run average, and WHIP, which is walks, hits per inning pitched. Those things, they're not going to be consistent game to game, but they will be fairly consistent season to season. So sometimes you'll have a guy who starts out bad or a guy who starts out hot. And they cool off or they get hot later on. They just balance it out until eventually you may end up with pretty much the same stats you'll always get. That's why you'll see a lot of the guys who are at the top of the draft list, they'll be at the top again. A guy like Justin Verlander this last year, who had an amazing comeback season, he should have consistent stats again. A lot of people will be looking to draft him. Clayton Kershaw for years was dominant. A guy like Randy Johnson, very consistent for a long time with his domination. So what you're going to be looking for, what do I want to build with my team? Do I want to build an absolutely dominating pitching staff? That's very hard to do. Do I want to build a dominant set of hitters? That's also something that's not easy to do, but boy, you can really make these things happen, and you can blend all these players that you're targeting. So who do you target for your draft? That's going to be a question that you can answer. What players do I want, and what do I want to build my team around? I'm going to be building my team around home run production and RBIs. Typically, batting average is going to be, it'll balance out in the end to where I'll probably not do as well in batting average as a lot of other people's, and I won't do as well in stolen bases as a lot of other people will. But I will always dominate home runs. I will always do well in RBIs, and the run production will also be there. On the pitching side of things, like I said, I'm after strikeouts. I want wins. ERA and WHIP, well, you can look at what they've done historically and you'll see how you're going to do, but I wouldn't invest too much in trying to win earned run average and walks per hit plus hits per inning pitched. It's going to be difficult to try to get those to match up to have a great season, but strikeouts, you sure can. Wins, you sure can. So let's take a look at all the different things that you're going to be looking for. And then you gotta put that all together. Now, if I dominate in home runs and RBIs and strikeouts and wins, that's 4 out of 10 categories. The other categories we're looking at, we discussed on the offensive side, are runs, stolen bases, and batting average. I'll be doing pretty average in all of those because I'm not focused on it, and it's hard to dominate those categories anyways. And then on the pitching side, there's also saves. That's where relief pitchers come in. Your relief pitchers, try not to invest too early into relief pitchers, but make sure you do invest into relief pitchers because you don't want to be the person who gets no saves throughout the season. Plus, relief pitchers tend to have a better earned run average and walks plus hits per inning pitched. So ERA and WHIP, they will improve by having relief pitchers on your team. So what you got to look at in the draft is when to take each of these players, when to take each category of player. Now, if I'm seeking home runs, those are found throughout the draft. But the early home run hitters tend to have much better RBIs. They're typically on a better team with a stronger lineup in front of them. So when they do hit their home runs or doubles or just a single, they're going to be driving home more runs. So I like to look for those fellas. For example, Aaron Judge is going to be a very high draft choice this year. I believe most leagues he was a second or third rounder last year. I don't doubt that he'll be a first rounder this year after the home run production he put up last season. A guy like Jose Ramirez won't have nearly as many home runs as an Aaron Judge. He'll still have many. He'll be over 30, that's for sure. But he'll also get stolen bases, and he'll have a better batting average. He's faster, so he'll get more runs scored. He's in another good lineup, so he will have RBIs. So if I'm looking at the two of them, I would probably look at Jose Ramirez over Aaron Judge. But that's not always the case. Aaron Judge, he's going to have great home run production, assuming he stays healthy. You can never, ever, ever predict that you will be injury-free. That's just not going to happen. But Aaron Judge, he's going to have a very productive season, assuming he stays healthy. Jose Ramirez, great season, assuming he stays healthy. There's some other guys that'll be looked at in that first round who are stolen base guys, and I'm warning you, the stolen base strategy is, I've tried it. Unless you balance the rest of it out, you're going to find yourself missing out on RBIs, you're going to find yourself missing out on home runs. You may have good runs, stolen bases. Other people are going to beat you week to week with just 2 stolen bases. You may have 10 stolen bases one week, 1 stolen base the following week. So you can't count on the great consistency there. You can count on it more with home runs and RBIs than you can with stolen bases. Batting average is also going to float around week to week. So look for the people you want on your team. Maybe it's a name you recognize. Maybe it's someone off your favorite team. Maybe it's just someone who you looked at their stats and said, wow, this is a 5-category player. He's going to produce in all 5 categories. A lot of folks are very interested in a 5-category player. I understand that. So develop the strategy that you think is going to work best for you. But for me, my strategy works best when I focus on home runs, when I focus on RBIs, when I focus on strikeouts and wins, and when I go after the saves. So now I've got 5 categories out of 10. Those 5 categories out of 10 are going to give me a lot of consistency. And what I'm looking at then is being able to make the playoffs. Because to make the playoffs, you're going to need to finish at 500 or better, which means 50% wins, 50% losses. So if you're looking to make the playoffs, you really want to have a strategy going in of what you want to do with your statistical categories. I fully believe in home runs, RBIs, wins, strikeouts, and saves. The rest of them, you'll scatter some wins throughout the season, and you'll be in the playoffs. Let's get ready for draft day, and don't forget to have fun.